So hello everybody, this is our first video on our new channel. This is from the bench debates today, and I'm here with Clive. How you doing, mate?
I'm not too bad, bit of a drowned rat, just trained on this beautiful pitch, so...
Yeah, today, first time we're actually in a football place. We can't go on the bench because of how bad raining it is, and you can probably hear it.
We're in the stands.
Yeah.
This is from the stands.
But today we'll be ranked since the season over for... Oh, it's been over for you for a while. But
Oh mate, the season was over the day Henry Boindier left the football club.
But here we go, we're going to talk about Lincoln, then we're going to talk about Norwich's team. We're grading A to F, how well did the season, and we're trying to be unbiased, especially for me, because we did gradings yesterday on the whiteboard, so I've gone down here. So I'm going to start with our captain, who isn't really any good, so I graded him F, because he's just been injured, been out of form, and it's just how, when he's played, he hasn't made much of an impact, and with how deep our midfield has been this season, it's just different as it has been.
Do you feel though, obviously I'm guessing you're talking about Joel Walsh, do you feel that perhaps maybe had he not been injured would he have had some better performances? I mean, I say the same thing about Christoph Zimmermann all the time. I think on his day he can be one of our best defenders, but he doesn't have his day a lot because he's constantly injured. So I guess had Joe Walsh not been injured, so injury prone, injury hit, would he have perhaps been better?
Oh, he was good, but Bridcut is another question for him. He's looked so out of depth. I think problem with Appleton's tactic, he relies heavily on him, and the problem when your Harrow defensive midfield is not good, the cracks come on. And when you've got more losses than wins, and when he's played, he hasn't made much difference, and he's supposed to be the captain.
Yeah.
He hasn't been around the foot, even when he's been injured. When you look at someone like Trippier,
Yeah.
even though he did his foot, he's still around the club. Bridcut he's been sat at home, he hasn't come into training, he hasn't come at all, and for a captain with a young squad, you expect him to be there.
Yeah,
it's very devastating.
I get what you're saying. I think it's just Lincoln just haven't really clicked over this season. I think Michael Appleton's been a big part of that.
Oh.
I mean, you've been complaining about him all season, haven't you? But
Oh, if we had him for another 9, if he was at the club for 9 years, I would never sit in a chair ever again because the pain in the arse he's been.
yeah, but who do you reckon can get something at this Lincoln squad?
No one. I say there's no.
No one.
I know it's not.
Do you think you need a whole club rebuild then?
It's not the players' fault. I'm saying that much. The players are professional footballers, and there's no arguing how good they are can be. But when you look at where Lincoln are, and think how unsteady we are, we haven't got steady investment, we haven't got steady finances, and we
You've
can't.
got quite a thin squad, haven't you, as well?
Yeah, that's the problem. It's relying heavily on youth, but we've got youth, and then the leaders are Walsh, then Jackson, and Bridcut, and you see the levels like the quality starts dipping like that. When you're relying on Joe Walsh as your leader, for a young lad coming from the Premier League, you look at Joe Walsh, you're going, really? And for Lincoln, I don't care. I want to attract players to Lincoln, not just because we can pay them expensive wages. What I said to my dad is, I want a Lincoln squad. We have a starting 11, who are of experienced, high quality players, but then sprinkle youth in there, so everyone learns from each other.
Yeah,
that's what I want.
Unfortunately today, mate, football is more of a business than it is a sport. So unfortunately, the only way Lincoln are going to do that is with some form of investment.
And our investment, we're investing in the wrong.
Or you look abroad, you look at free transfers. I mean, look at Norwich, bought in Pookie from Brøndby, and we've got like 78 goals out of him.
Probably Lincoln's ambition is though, they don't see the club. They say they want to progress with youth and stuff like that. The problem with that is they're going too heavily on the youth aspect.
Yeah.
I think last season, not this season, last season before, the second half of the season, our squad was averaging over 22, I think it was. Our average age was 22, I think it was.
Yeah.
You can't rely on, and plus all our owners have said was, the players can get fit. I said, you can't fix Joe Walsh's car. So the manager can't fix hamstring and quads. He's not a Jesus. He can't go, you're healed, my child. Literally, he can't. But that's why. But let's go on to another one. Bridcut. He has to go. I don't know why we're signing for another contract. But the next one is Josh Griffiths, who we got on loan from West Brom. He started slowly. He got injured twice. He did. And had to be recalled in January. He did by West Brom.
Oh, so that was a fail.
I gave him an E because what expectation we got from him thinking in England, I think it's England under 18s he was, and the expectation he got from West Brom in the academy.
Yeah.
When we got him, he's really flopped. He did. Like, he didn't. I think for the first 4 games you watch him in, he's not commanding his area. He's really just like a deer in headlights. He's like, what should I do? He's like really worrying. Then
like a Josh Sargent.
Yeah, like he didn't come in. He didn't play pre-season. Only Sam Long did, which is a special shout out to Sam Long, who can't be in his list because he only played 1 game but played in the cup competitions. should be on one next season. So when we do this video again, he'll be getting an A for sure because I believe in my boy. Next one is.
Believe in him, dude.
Yeah, of course I do, mate. When you watch him play, we nearly lost to Bowser and Pitts if it wasn't for him.
Yeah.
Our next one is Jordan Wright, which I'm giving a D.
Yeah.
He came on loan in January, I think he did, for us, and he came from Nottingham Forest. He was supposed to be on number 2 because we didn't have a backup goalkeeper since we did have a backup goalkeeper Sam Long, but he needed minutes to go on loan, so Jordan Wright came in. Then when Griffiths got injured, I think in February, or March, Jordan started. So he started I think 6 games for us, keeping a couple of clean sheets, being highly praised for the championship he has. And the reason I'm giving him a D because towards the end of the 3 games, he looked very shaky. He made a lot of errors. He did, and I haven't seen enough of Jordan to give any high. But what he did for Lincoln guaranteed us safety, and hopefully he'll push his career on because I see him linked with QPR. I've met him. He's been a really nice guy, really tall, really nice guy. I got his signed post from him. Got a video going on the Beyond the Bench, me interviewing Jordan. Really nice guy he is.
Yeah.
Next one. Oh, here we go, the big one. Joe Walsh.
Go on.
Mr. Injured. So when we started the season, pre-season, he was injured.
Yeah.
He didn't start. He started. I think he didn't start any games. I think, then he started one and did. Then he got injured again. He just left quad. He was out until January, I think, or February time.
Yeah.
Played about. Then he left until March. Then did his hamstring and quad again towards the end of the season. When he played, he just looked. Last season, we kept 11 clean sheets, and you could say he was the best defender in League One to start the season. But now in the back 3.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. That's what I was saying, going back to what I was saying about Zimmerman. Is it injuries? Injuries obviously hamper a player's development, and obviously, like I said, Zimmerman on his day can be one of our best defenders, but he doesn't have his day very often because he doesn't play very often.
But I think with Joe Walsh, it's not just that. It's just lack of respect for the club. When you look at Norton Cuffy got a red card,
Yeah.
and if you see on camera, it's about that distance away where Clive is, about 4th chair along, and he's letting him get in an argument and a fight. And you're thinking, you're 29, you're an experienced player, why aren't you pulling him away?
Yeah.
Surely you can't be that. Surely you can't be that injured, that stupid that you can't realise this is heating up. You should be pulling him away. Like, and the problem with Joe, he's like most experienced player in the squad, but he doesn't act like it. He acts like a really young player sometimes. We put him in a back. We've played back 3 this season. We have with Jackson, Paul, or TJ when he's been fit. And when we've played him, he just looked very disappeared in the game. Him and Jackson, when we'll come on to him, but he just looked defender who he was at the start of the season, keeping 11 clean sheets, to now being very slow, very error prone, just very lacklustre. When you see, when we watched his game's Wigan, it was.
Yeah.
The ball comes to the box, Jackson leaves it, and he leaves it. And for 2 experienced defenders to leave a ball, and he's getting balls played through him, he's not even there half the time, and he's got an F because he's been injured 3 times before the season even starts, and he can't get a run against him. And our board wants to keep him. I don't know what for. Medical science, they didn't even get some money for him. Sell him for £10,000 and invest in a better centre back.
Who's next?
Oh, here we go. The man himself, Adam Jackson.
How's Adam Jackson been this season for you?
Awful. I think he's been the most fit defender we've had. I
Did
think
you get him an F?
I've got him. Yeah, he's an F as well. It's not debating his ability. He's a great footballer his day, but what Lincoln needed and what he is 2 different things.
Has he just not had his day enough this season?
No, when you expect he's our second most experienced defender in the team. When you got Norton Cuffy, Paul, Bramwell, Robson, all under the age of 22, and he's 26, 27, I think he is now. You expect to look at him and go, that's the guy I want to look for. Well, I'm going to watch Wigan. The ball comes in the box. He leaves it. He goes, it's not my problem. When it's practically in the 3 yards. It's practically 3 yards from goal. He's not clearing it. This season, when he should be stepping up, he's not stepping up. He's had 2 concussions this season, and it's just for a defender. He's had a lot of. Well, for me, he should be leading the team. Like when Walsh he should be stepping up. Last season, he didn't do enough, and this season, he's not doing enough. He's not being. I've grading players low because I know what they can be. I know some players can't be. Like I expect Jackson to be leading, to be vocal. So when a ball goes in the box, he's the first to go to it. We've lost so many first and second balls because we're not ambitious enough. Like we've conceded the most headers, and Jackson's 6'2", 6'3" is. I know Walsh is a lot shorter at 6 foot, but when you're an experienced defender, like you expect him to lead players around him. You expect him to be that voice in the change room, and everyone's been fighting against each other and just can't see what he's done.
Yeah.
Another one is our next defender we've actually brought is TJ Njoma. He started. I've given him an E because he's been a victim of the team. Because I watched him against Ipswich, and the ball's being played over, and he's not getting a man-on shout, and the ball's going over his head. And the problem is though, he's backing into the ball, and he's trying to head the ball, but can't get any height, and then we concede from it. He's a great defender. He's played right back for us. He's played centre back when he's been injured, sadly, for all the season. But when he's played this season, he's looked good. But the problem is he needs a good leader around. If Joe Walsh stayed fit and was the man, him and a TJ would have rocked. We could have comfortably won some more games.
Yeah.
But since he got injured, and it's no disrespect to TJ, but it's just not the defender we need. And he can be good under the right manager and under the right players. But when all the players don't want to fight,
do you think your new man will get anything out of him?
I hope he does, because I think he's only 19, 20. He's played for England under 21s.
Yeah.
And I can see him like developing into a great defender, but at the moment, with how against each player is, I can't see him. Next one is our right back we signed in January. It's Norton Cuffy, who we got on loan from Arsenal, who scored a goal for us, got a red card. Then he was appealed. Then he was appealed because it wasn't a red card. And I've given him. It's just the same as all the players. I've given him an E because the problem is Norton Cuffy. He's got pace. He can beat any defender down the pitch.
Yeah.
He can cross the ball. The problem is though, he only does that for 10 minutes. He plays 90 minutes. You see him for 10 minutes. When I watched him against Wigan and against Wickham as well, he's jogging half the time. He runs down the pitch and he's not tracking back. He's just standing there waiting for things to happen. Or he's defending. He's getting beaten way too easy. I think he has a bright future. He's only like 18, 19. He's got a bright future ahead of him. But for Lincoln, we don't need players that won't run for us. We need players who can run for 90 minutes. Like what?
Players that are going to just completely bust the gut for you every single game.
What Lincoln is anything is possible. Like we weren't expected to go on the FA Cup run. We're not expected to be in League One, but we are because things are possible. Matt Reed wasn't supposed to score 15 goals. He wasn't supposed to score 3 in League Two, but he did because things are possible. And for Lincoln at the moment, it's just nothing seems possible anymore. It's like we could be losing 3-1 with 45 minutes to go, and we're going, oh, we've lost the game. It's no worry, and it's 3 points dropped against Bowser and Pittston. They're a semi-professional team who are struggling in South London, and we score 1 goal past them. We got a professional football team. Yeah, that's the difference.
I think a good idea, Dave, would be to probably split this up into 3 separate parts. So if we do goalkeepers and defenders now for both our teams.
Yeah, because time is running out for both of us.
That's what I mean. So if we do goalkeepers and defenders Monday, we can do midfield, and then Tuesday we can do the attack. Yeah.
We've got Paul, Robson, and Bramwell to do now.
And then I'll go on to my ones.
Yeah, and then that's it now. So the next one is Regan Paul, which I'll give it a D because I think even though he's had moments of lapse of judgment, I think he's been really solid at right back and the left back he has, and he's been really solid at centre back he has. He's been just a really good player for us, and I give him a D because he's been a lot of good defending, a lot of tackle. He's one of the most vocal players he has on the team he has when you watch him play. And I think if we don't keep him, it's going to be a real shock. We only lost Neil Ledley, I think, 3 years ago. The right back void is gone, and Paul hasn't filled that, he hasn't, sadly. But it's getting close to what we need because Paul was a centre mid originally. But next one is our new signing we signed in when last start of the season is Robson, and I think I've given Robson a E because he's supposed to be on more defence. Bramwell's more of an attacking option at left back, and Robson's more defensive minded one. But when he's played, it's been neither. He hasn't offered anything defensively, nothing attacking wise. He's been leaving very holes and gaps, and he's had. I can't really over the season. I can't think of any moments that stand out to me. Like for Regan Paul, I can go put some good tackles in. I can probably communicating against Wickham. With Robson, I can go. No, he's been fighting with Bramwell for his place, and
when I like Bramwell.
Oh, Bramwell. We're going to him now. I've given Bramwell an F because even though he's got pace, I
think you expect a lot more from him, don't you? Like I think he's let the team down this season. I think.
But when you're trying to defend, and Bramwell's still up here, like real attacking in the pitch.
His work rate leaves a lot to be desired, but I think when on his day, like I mean, you say it's about most players, but on his day, he's a good player.
Yeah, he can be a good player, but the problem is though, he's lazy. Like we're against Ipswich, we're supposed to be defending in a 4, and the ball's going over him, and you can see the camera angle. It's wide angle. You can see the whole of the half. He's not even there. And sometimes he's played left wing, been ineffective. Left back, he's been ineffective, and he hasn't nailed down a position. Like last season, he was brilliant. He was doing a lot of good things, but this season, he hasn't linked with Scully, hasn't linked with Maguire. I think the midfield's to blame. That's another day. But we've got another last defender now, and it's the big one, the big Dutchman himself, the 6'5", 6'6" Dutchman, Lewis Monson, which I'll give an F because he's been injured. He got injured. I think he did a cruciate ligament. He did.
Yeah.
But when he's played, he's just looked so ineffective.
But then, could that be down to confidence coming back from a big injury like that?
I don't think it's just.
You can't get much of a bigger injury than that.
He hasn't come back yet with problem. When he started, he was fit. He's the only defender last season who didn't get injured at all. And when he's played, he's just so clumsy. He's really got like ball and chain strapped to him.
Is he a bit like Harry Maguire?
He's a skinny version of Maguire because literally. But when he's 6'5", you don't expect him to beat in the air. But last season he was beaten in the air 15 times.
Really?
50. You're 6'5". It's literally like Peter Crouch being beaten in the air by bloody Bernard from Everton. It's not possible. But when you expect he's 6'5", he's expecting a presence in the box. But we consider more headers. And this season, balls come into the box, he's going, leaving it. He's not headering, he's not challenging players. And when you're 6'5", you can't be a ball player. You're supposed to be challenging players for heading the ball.
Yeah.
Not my problem. I'm going to turn my hair up. And now when he's been injured, it hasn't seen much difference. Like, when he plays and when he's injured, it's just the same.
Yeah.
But now we're moving to your one now.
Here we go. So we're going to start off with Timmy Krul. And for me, this is an interesting one. Obviously, everyone loves Timmy Krul, and I do, of course. But I think some of the goals he's just shipped this season have been a little bit too easy.
But
I think against Manchester United, obviously, because Ben Gibson cost us that game. But 2 saves there for Timmy. But the free kick was shocking.
Okay, what about Leeds then as well?
Well, yeah, there you go. So I think.
But has it been in the making though? Because past 3 seasons has been a bit shaky at times.
No, but he's been so reliable. He has been
Sometimes
so reliable
he hasn't though.
in the last 3 seasons.
But you can't point him
This
down.
season, I'd say he's definitely dropped off a little bit. So I've given Tim Krul a D. Next one, Angus Gunn. I've given Angus Gunn a C because when I've seen him play, he's looked really, really good. He's pulled off some shocking saves. So, and I think next season's going to be interesting because the Norwich fans at the moment. I spoke to Jack and Chris not long ago, and they both said that it's going to be interesting to see who fights for the number 1 out of those 2. And
but like I said, the problem with Gunn is
it's going to be interesting.
the problem I see with Gunn, like I'm a goalkeeper myself, but you don't. When you're a goalkeeper, you sit on the sideline for a long time and you're not playing. You can play well in training, but I mean, when it comes to a match situation, everything is different.
No, but this is what I mean. When he's come on, when he's played in games,
yes,
he's
grown into it.
He's delivered. He's played. I tell you what, against Wolverhampton Wanderers, he was absolutely excellent, and he's the reason we ended up drawing that game and not going on to lose it.
But I say, like when you look at Michel Vaughan, Vaughan was talking when he got dropped. He got put in the position he did against Norwich, against you, and he hasn't played for 16 months in a game, and he's expected to play against you in a cup final, in a cup game. You can't chuck a goalkeeper. It's not like an out. You can be chucked in a team. You can play. For a goalkeeper, you need mentally prepared to go for a game. I think for Gunn, he's starting to grow that confidence now that he can. He's going to get more game time. He's going to play.
His dream is. Everyone knows this. Gunn's dream is to be Norwich's number 1. That's what he wants. He wants to follow in his dad's footsteps. And I tell you what, I don't think he's that far away from it now. So I've given Gunn a C. Ben Gibson. Now I was inclined to give Ben Gibson an F, but I've given him an E. Because there have been performances this season that he has played and he's been really, really surprising. And I think at Premier League level, he's had a couple of games where he has looked out of his depth, but then he's had other games where, like you say, on like most other players, on his day, he's looked really, really good.
But the problem is that the money it costs you though.
This is true. Obviously, £8 million for a centre back that's got an E.
When you look at Dan Burn, Trippier, players like that. Who cost barely any money and
cost what, 3 million extra?
Yeah, like Trippier was 12 million.
This is the problem with Norwich. You pay 3 million extra than what we have paid for these players this season, and you get quality. Anyway, moving on. Grant Hanley. I've given Grant Hanley a C here because, and people will be surprised at that, but some people won't. Grant Hanley, in my opinion, has had a brilliant season. On his, you put Grant Hanley in a better line of defence, and I think he keeps his quality because he's yes, on the ball he struggles a little bit, but in the air you can't doubt him at all.
I think
he doesn't lose.
I think he's grown into Premier League football more now.
When both times we've played against Ronaldo, I think Grant Hanley has handled him really, really well.
Yeah, because he's growing into Premier League football. The difference in the Champions, like I say, when you look at the football tiers, we'll do a video on that. The difference in League One and Championship is that. Between the Championship and Premier League is that.
No, but this is what I mean. In the Championship next season, even Ben Gibson and Grant Hanley is probably still the best centre-back partnership the Championship has. Ooh. I don't think there's a better one.
Ooh.
You watch next season, I don't think there's a better one.
I can't think off the top of my head. But
and that moves on to Christoph Zimmermann.
Oh.
who I've actually I haven't graded him because I don't think I've seen him enough this season.
How has he played 2 games though?
He has, but I
So
still
what-
I still haven't graded him.
On his
because I haven't
performance,
seen-
on the performance you've seen him in, what would you say?
I
Don't take the championship into consideration here. Take into consideration this season alone. Would you start him?
what, next season?
No, this season. If you had a Premier League now, you had an extra 2 games. Would you start him for those 2 games? I tell you against big top 10 opposition. Would you start him?
Out of all the fit players
Yeah,
currently,
everyone's fit in your defence.
everyone's fit. No, because my centre back partnership would be Hanley and Omar
So what are you going to give him then?
Probably a D, because I can't give him an E or an F because I haven't seen him enough yet, and like so I'd like to say I'll put him somewhere in the middle. I'll give him a D. Ozan Kabak.
Oh.
Now Ozan Kabak, originally I could have given him an F, and to be honest, I think I might go back to an F because the hype that came with Ozan Kabak.
It came from Schalke.
He came from Schalke. He had a good spell at Liverpool. Fit well into that team. He came to Norwich and he hasn't really done anything.
He expected a fit.
He made a Bambi run through the middle at Turf Moor and then ended up doing nothing with
But
it.
it cost you 6
clumsy.
points, 2 penalties.
He's conceded 2 penalties and he just hasn't been good enough. He hasn't been what Norwich wanted. He hasn't been what Norwich thought he was going to be. And unfortunately,
So he's your Adam Jackson.
well, yeah, there you go. Unfortunately, I am going to have to give the first F of the day. Notice how all of our scores are very low.
You
tell you
facing the
what, though,
relegation though. I think
A couple of good players coming in though. Andy Omabamidele. I've given him a C. Had Norwich finished higher, he'd got a B or an A because when I've seen Omabamidele play, he has played above his years, above and beyond. He's looked like a real leader on the pitch, and he's one of the youngest players on the pitch. That goal against Leeds United, yes, we ended up losing the game, but what a brilliant header that was. It means he's good in the air. He looks so assured. I tell you what, on the ball, he looks way better than Gibbo or Hanley, I tell you. When he's on the ball, he looks so much more confident and composed.
But when you look at it, people talk about how Hanley isn't good or people like that, but when you look at the professional athletes, and when you're a young player, and you've got like someone like Hanley who plays for Scotland, you've got someone like Gibbo who plays for...
But he's got a lot of good experience
Yeah.
around him, that's true. This is true. Especially in training, I think that helps. I mean, that's the one thing I'd probably put Hanley's grade up for again, is just his leadership. You can't question Grant Hanley's leadership and his professionalism.
I know I've rated my players low, but when
Yeah.
when you can't be bothered. When I was talking about the midfield, Colin McGrandle's example. When everyone's in the game, when you didn't score
We'll
for...
talk about Norwich's midfield in the next video.
Yeah, I said we didn't score for 3 months, and
Yeah.
no one took responsibility for 3 months.
Yeah.
You got 5 captains in there, and no one will take responsibility.
This is what I like about Grant Hanley. Every interview he's had, he's like, right, we could do better. He hasn't just shrugged it off. He's a proper leader, Grant Hanley, and I think next season he's going to be so important for us to again fight for promotion. Anyway, on to one of my favourite Norwich City players, and to be honest, in my opinion, this is going to surprise a lot of people. One of our most sound technical footballers, Dimi Yanulis. I've given him a C because every time I've seen Yanulis, he's been absolutely excellent. I love him to bits. That might be a little bit biased, giving him a C. But I just think on the ball he's one of our most sound defenders.
This is hard things like when you grade your team, you want to think you can't grade your team. I've had to grade my team badly because of what we're seeing. But for you, you want your players. No one wants to grade a player badly. No one said a player is bad.
Especially when you like the players, you feel bad giving. I feel bad giving Ozan Kabak an F because I do like him and I think there's a good defender in there. We haven't seen it this season, but. Yeah, I think Yanulis. I think there was fans that wanted to see him further up the pitch because I think his attacking prowess is really, really good. But
it depends what the manager wants, isn't it?
That's what I mean. Even defensively, I think as a wing back, I think Yanulis really, really works for this Norwich team. And next season, he seems, from what I've heard, Paddy Davitt has said on the pink, and he's really, really up for it. So
how many defenders have got left, Clive?
We've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 3 fullbacks left. Max Aarons. I've given Max Aarons an E, and that's going to sound harsh.
It's not
only because when you've got a player of the calibre of Max Aarons and how good he's been over the last 3 seasons,
he's very lacklustre.
I expect a lot more than what I've seen from him. I think we've had at least 2 better fullbacks than him this season.
I think he's just getting too comfortable in position now.
I think he's looking for a move. But to be honest, Norwich aren't going to be wanting any less than 25 million. And to be honest, I don't see who's going to pay that in the summer.
I can't see any Premier League team paying for it.
Yeah, That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried Max isn't going to get his move in the next season. I mean,
It's going to get really
you can't ask.
toxic in the atmosphere.
To be honest, you can't ask any more of the lad. He's denied Bayern Munich. He's denied Barcelona. You can't ask like his loyalty. Love him to bits.
I think
Max
Bayern might buy him.
Max Aarons, if he stayed, one day could be a Norwich City captain. But this season, I just haven't seen enough.
I think the problem with Norwich as well is Aaron's wants to stay, but where the club
He deserves better.
Yeah.
His quality deserves better. I think in a better squad he'd be better. But I guess the same could be said for Billy Gilmore in the next part of this set of videos. But anyway, we'll move on to Brandon Williams. And Brandon Williams actually got my highest grade so far.
But the problem is, when we made a video, you said he was the worst player and you wanted to send him packing.
No, I know. I did say that. I'm going to completely contradict that now. I've given him a B. I cannot ask any more from what you've got out of a lone player with Brandon Williams. The guy has fought for the name, has fought for the badge and not the name on the back. I tell you.
Because what did I tell you? Is it needed to grow into football.
No, but this is what I mean. He has absolutely busted. He's bled yellow and green this season. He's really fought for the
I
club.
should see a doctor about
And out
that,
of
mate.
a lone player, you can't ask for any more. He has fought for the crest on the front of the shirt and not the name on the back. And you cannot ask for any more than that. So I've given Brandon Williams a B because out of all the lone players, he has fought like he's one of our own. And to be honest, you cannot ask for any more than that. Moving on to our final fullback and our final defender of this part of the video, Sam Byram. I've given him a C because when I've seen Sam Byram play, I think he's really fit into the team well. He's had to play in 3 different positions this season. He's played CDM, he's played centre back, and he's played obviously in his normal position, left and right back. So he's sort of played a bit of everywhere this season, and I do feel quite bad for him. He's sort of been chucked everywhere but when he's played, he's delivered. And I thought against Wolves, I thought he played really well in that centre back role. And he's just understood the role that he's had to play. So I've given him a C. But I guess that's going to wrap up this video. This first half, obviously, all of our centre defensive players and all of our defenders and our goalkeepers obviously didn't get the best of grades because, I mean, well, look at where both of us are in the leagues.
Oh, don't remind me, mate. I have nightmares now. I think about bloody Joe Wolf trying to
be honest,
ball.
I think for me, the next episode might be even worse. I mean,
Oh,
Norwich.